Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you another video. Alright, so I got more to say, more information coming my way. So, of course, I'll bring it to you and speculate as I always do. This is um, no surprise to me, man. We talked about all the different stuff in regards to Kyrie Irving. Of course, if I haven't mentioned it, it's been said that Joe Tsai now is claiming that he definitely did not want to send Kyrie Irving to the Lakers. So we already went over a whole spiel about how I was so certain of that. But what we didn't go over is the Dallas Mavericks side of things. Dallas Mavericks, not only are they acquiring Kyrie Irving at an expiring contract, but what they're also acquiring is an opportunity to have a lot of cap space this summer. And while they don't have a whole lot of talent right now, what they have just picked up is an expiring contract at $36 million. And what that means is if that comes off the books, they can do a multitude of things. One of those things. Now, I'm looking at LeBron James over here in Los Angeles, and I told you guys, I think he's probably looking at us as a place that he probably can't get it done. He's probably where I am in regards to this front office and would love to see some changes before feeling real confident about moving forward with this franchise. I'm sure he likes being a Laker. He's given us, 5 years now, committed to the end of the contracts. Is going to see it through. But when it comes to re-ing up with this team and thinking about who's going to handle your future, you can't feel too good about these guys, man. You cannot, especially after today. Today was just like, all right, we really couldn't give our best offer. You know what I mean? We really could not. So at this point, if I'm him, I'm like, all right, where are my options? Where are my destinations? So what I see is Mark Cuban opening up an opportunity for LeBron James to join him there with Luka Doncic. Put those two incredible players together. I just think that this is a way to do that. You know, picking up Kyrie Irving is like a wink to LeBron James, like, yo, I got your back right here, bro. And if we can work it out, you might be able to even pair you with your buddy right here, Kyrie Irving, at a different price. Because look, at the end of the day, we know Kyrie Irving is probably not going to be resigning for that price, man. He's not going to be resigning for that price. And I don't know how many places he's going to be going to that are going to give him what it is he's looking for. But there can be some money for Kyrie and some guarantees at some length if he's willing to take a pay cut that'll make a whatever owner happy. Now, he may not be willing to do that for anybody, but if you're talking about bringing in LeBron James and pairing that with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving would have to take a pay cut to make that happen. But when you think about the different situations he would want to go to, he probably wanted to go to the Lakers. He want to go to the Lakers, play with Bron. Well, the Lakers are soured, so Bron may be wanting to come to Dallas, play with you, and that's what I know. His respect level for Luka Doncic knows no end. The bag is there, and the Lakers is playing around. And Kyrie Irving is now in Dallas. And so as far as I can tell, Mark Cuban may be telling LeBron James that this is probably the place you want to go to when this thing goes left in L.A. You know what I mean? I'm telling you. And I don't know if LeBron James is considering Texas, but I know a lot of people who moved from L.A. to Texas in my own life, so he wouldn't be the first. But I'll tell you right now, man, the Lakers have really ruined this thing, in my opinion. You picked the picks over LeBron. That's what it really came down to. So if that was the objective, I hope you have a better plan in mind. But, looking at the Dallas Mavericks, back at them, I was trying to match some salaries, trying to figure out what they could do to try to free up some more space. It's one of those things where they have expiring contracts elsewhere outside of Kyrie Irving. Like Christian Wood, for example, who, according to the trade tracker, is on a 1-year deal, expiring. That I wasn't aware of. I thought he was up for extension or had already signed an extension. So if he happens to not be an expiring contract, that's an entirely different story. But they do have a few other contracts that are interesting. A guy like Bertans probably needs to be off the books. I look at one of their better trade pieces is probably, of course, outside of Christian Wood, would be Tim Hardaway Jr. On a 3-year deal. It's pretty expensive, but he's a really solid starting shooter that you can just put in and expect to really help with scoring. So I'd imagine there'd be some desire to have him out there for a lot of teams that maybe have some pieces on the move. And I would think, like, maybe it would be in their best interest to try to turn a, one of those contracts into an expiring contract. For example, a guy like Davis Bertans, if you could find a way to finesse getting him off your books and get an expiring contract in exchange for him, maybe even giving up an expiring contract like Christian Wood to get rid of a 3-year deal, might not be the worst thing in the world if what you're taking back is expiring as well. You know what I mean? Without any extra years on it, that would create more space for them. So that's something I kind of consider if I was in the Dallas Mavericks seat. Now that I've gotten Kyrie Irving, even though they say they're not going to sign him, re-sign him, I don't think they're going to love the free agent pool out there. I don't think they're going to love it. Now, that doesn't mean you go and overpay for the wrong stuff, because we've seen teams do that so many times where they just, well, since we have some money, let's just give it to a guy. And they just do it that way and end up ruining their situation. My thinking is that the Dallas Mavericks could probably keep from doing that. But you never know. You know what I mean? You never know when teams have cap space and don't know what to do with it. It could be a thing, but re-signing Christian Wood might be a cool option for them. He's a younger player, obviously, than LeBron James. LeBron James, no guarantee he's going to be going there. And as I said, the free agent pool isn't that good. So Dallas has had some bad luck with some of their other talent, development talent. And I think this, as I look at the Lakers, that's the one thing they got in their back pocket. They have great scouts, so you can count on them getting lucky with more second-round picks and ultimately finding a way to get value that way. And then hopefully the draw of being LA will have it so that'll make players want to come here and sign a bag. Trae Young or somebody will probably take a bag from us. But that doesn't necessarily vault us, means that it will vault us into championship contention. So for me, I just want the Lakers to take a look at that. Take a look at everything we're doing in regards to ourselves, because if we're not focused on trying to be aware of teams like Dallas who are positioning themselves to free up enough cap space to take players from us, then we're fooling ourselves. Even though LeBron James is an older guy, he's still an older guy playing at a super high level. And he's still an older guy who's going to be able to bring you more money than most. And so that's one of those things where I think it's a good chance LeBron James still plays like this for at least another 2-3 years. And so a team like Dallas may say, okay, well, we could just sign Kyrie Irving to that same 2-year deal. The Lakers were willing to give him. He's already in-house since we traded for him. He's already enriched in what we do with Luka Doncic, and we could possibly take Bron from them, or maybe take another player from that team that that would otherwise be losing that player that they'd have there, that same contract length. So that's what I'm looking at, man. They're freeing up an opportunity to have a big three if they want one, and judging by the fact that they don't have a whole lot of talent in place, that might be something that they're willing to do. Bring Luka big talent so we can just go to work, because at the end of the day, one thing Luka can do is close. One thing Kyrie can do is close. One thing LeBron cannot do is close. So if he goes up there, all he would have to do is have enough talent around him to help with the things in place. JaVale McGee, keep him there. Obviously, he's won a championship with JaVale. These are the type of things you just see in place already. Reggie Bullock, a shooter there. You know what I mean? You could probably try to keep him on a different price. Berton's going to be impossible to move, but if you can get him off the books, it'd be great. But if he's at a different price, he's a perfect piece for Bron. So it's like, I already see what's in place with Dallas, to where even though it's not good stuff, if you look at the fact that Luka's in place, obviously, who's going to dominate the ball like heck, he's in place, who's going to dominate the ball like heck, and Kyrie's in place, who's going to dominate the ball like heck. All you really need is the pieces that they have, the shooters that they have, and a guy like Dwight Powell to do the 50-50 stuff. Maybe another Dorian Finney-Smith type. Too bad they couldn't keep him. But like, you add LeBron James to that, and they go to work, man. They can really go to work. I don't think it would be too much in the way of them dominating based on the IQ level of those players and the way they would close games. It would be impossible to stop them. Who do you guard? LeBron James gonna make the right play, and Luka Doncic gonna make the right play too. Kyrie Irving's gonna make the right. It's impossible, man. That's way better, in my opinion, than what they had in Brooklyn with KD and Kyrie and Harden. I just like the fit better, because LeBron James is gonna do so much to make things come together. Um, Luka Doncic is so much bigger. You know what I mean? It's a bigger size team, I think. And Kyrie could kind of be more of a guard, in his own right, rather than have to kind of share some of the guard duties with a guy like James Harden. He's playing with two forwards essentially in Luka Doncic and LeBron James. So as I envision this, it just makes all the sense in the world, man, for him to consider that as a place he could go and play in a win now situation, um, with a young player like Luka Doncic, his old running mate like Kyrie Irving, of course, in Kyrie Irving, and just go that route. Sail into the sunset in cowboy country. You know, it's just set up for that to be a viable spot for him to go. It really is. Keeps in the Western Conference. Um, you know, a hop skip from Cleveland, an Akron area. Just a quick flight, not nothing too serious. Centrally located in terms of the country to get to New York, get to LA. You understand what I'm saying? Like for everything he would need to do, he's centrally located. Um, his super private jet and get one of those super jets and get you there in 30 minutes. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that, a super billionaire like him could do. I just look at it and say Texas would not be the hardest way to settle at all. If he had to leave LA and go somewhere, he could go to Texas and be very comfortable. And I don't know if he would see it that way, but I know if he got there, unfortunately for us Laker fans, I think he would settle there, man. So this is one of those situations where it's like, yo, y'all play around. Y'all play around, Lakers. Y'all play around. I know he don't want to leave the Lakers. I know he doesn't. But you can see how teams are starting to gear up opportunities to snatch him from us. And don't think that Mark Cuban's the last. He's not. There will be others. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about basketball with Bron. It's not just about basketball. He can make you a lot of money. A whole lot of money. And Jeannie's enjoying that. And I think she's kind of taking it for granted. She's pocketing that money. And she's tired of LeBron, but she's pocketing that money. It's like, yo, you're going to have to account for that. However that looks. I think she may have forgotten how it was when we were running around with B.I. and Kuzma. We weren't very good. And, seats was being filled, but it was because of the promise of maybe getting Bron soon and AD soon and stuff like that you could promise back then. You don't know if you're going to be able to deliver anymore. Based on how things are going right now, like I said, the best thing for the Lakers to do at this point, I don't know, man. Probably fire people, man. Fire people. Fire humans. I don't know who to fire necessarily because I don't know who's to blame, but I think whoever is to blame should stop being in charge, man. And then from there, put somebody in charge who's definitely knows what they're doing in the modern era. As I always say, get you an executive, one of them hot shot dudes that's already out there. Kobe Altman or somebody like that. You hire them to do the job and you empower them to do it. And get out of the way. That's the best thing I can say for any owner. Just let them do the job. Sign off on stuff that makes the most sense possible, man. And that'd be that. Stay modern because the game changes all the time, and that's really it. That's really what it is. The game changes every 6 months. It can anyway. It definitely can if you ain't looking at it that way. It definitely can. So man, I don't know, man. I'm a deflated Laker fan for Kyrie's situation. I just, I know that the future in Dallas could actually be there. So I don't know if I should look at it as him just automatically going there and being there for just 6 months and that's it. Because I can just see that going so many different ways, including him and Luka becoming really good friends. I can see that scenario. That pros personalities could go left in the presence of losing. But Luka looks like a really cool dude. Just a cool guy. And so with that, I think he's going to get along with Kyrie once they have certain conversations. And once they start seeing each other's way of, kind of working and kind of approaching the game, I think the respect will come easy. The respect will come really fast. So it's just going to be difficult for them to scheme. And I think the Jason Kidd factor is really a big part of that. I really think that's a big part of that. How Jason Kidd takes to Kyrie Irving and how that situation goes is going to determine, I think, how ultimately it is. Because at the end of the day, Luka is very young, man. That's the one thing that I think Kyrie's going to understand when he gets there. You know, we talk about leadership. Sometimes leaders have to come from a place of not being the star. You know, obviously, leaders can be coming from anywhere. And, you know, people say Kyrie's not a leader. But when he goes to Dallas, what he's going to find is that people are going to look to him for certain types of leadership. I don't know if he knows that or not, but he's going to find out that he's going to be big homie. He is. A guy like Luka Doncic, even though that's his team, it's his thing, he going to see Kyrie Irving. And to a point, depending on how he views himself, because some people like, I'm so great, I ain't even going to be wide-eyed around you. But I just don't know. Depending on the personality of Luka Doncic, he might look to Kyrie Irving and kind of be wide-eyed in a way to say, yo, I kind of grew up watching this guy. What can I learn from this dude up close? Because at the end of the day, who is he played with? Who is Luka played with? You know, I don't know to what extent his professional experience would be in Europe. But Dallas has never had no superstars for him to play with. The only time he really gets to play with stars like that is an all-star game. So this will give him an opportunity to play with a legend like himself who's actually gotten a chance to do it. And he's going to learn some things from Kyrie if Kyrie's open to teaching him. And depending on Luka's perspective, he might look up to Kyrie when that respect is gained, just by sheer age. I don't know. I'm not going to put nothing on nobody, but I can see the presence of something like that being in place. Because of how Kyrie is, how he carries himself, you know what I mean? Some of the ways he approaches the game, his relationship with Kobe and all that. It's going to be some stories to tell, and I think Luka's going to listen. And I don't think Luka's been around too many people in the game that he would respect to where he'd be around them every day, you know what I mean? I don't think so. And a lot has been said about Luka's personality and how he barks at people and he, you know, jumps on stuff and he's fiery. I'm curious to see how Kyrie's personality would mess with his in the locker room. Because I know he's going to come in with a big personality too. And so it's one of them situations where it's like, how does that work? I don't know. But in the presence of losing, I don't think it'll be great. I'll say that much. But these are great closers. So I don't know that they're going to be losing too many games. If they can stay close in those games. And so if they for what they are, which is one-man band players, there should be no reason they don't stay close since they're going to be so high usage and playing off each other. Now my curiosity is, are they going to try to bring Kyrie Irving off the bench? And I know that sounds silly, but this could be a situation where that may be the solution. Because you might have a little bit of that dynamic that takes place with Russell Westbrook and LeBron James to a degree, even though both of these players can obviously shoot. You don't necessarily want them isoing while the other's on the floor. Like I think they're gonna find Luka probably needs the offense all to himself. And I think Kyrie plays better off the ball than Luka does. It's that kind of thing. So when Kyrie gets in his bag, it may be best for Luka to not be on the floor. So that can be a very tricky dynamic that I think Jason Kidd's going to figure out. He's going to have to figure it out in a very short window of time, but which is another reason why I don't think this works. But I don't think it's meant to work. I just think it's meant to kind of like, as I said, bring them a talented player, possibly keep that player or let the money expire and then bring in a superstar or whatever they want to do. So that's what it's more so about. I think it's more so about the books and them being able to free up that cap space for their team. So, but yeah, I do see a scenario where Kyrie Irving ends up being a six-man kind of, you know, leader, I guess you could say, you know, like Westbrook, you know, one of those type of things. Because even though it's obvious that those two players must start, and it's also an obvious pecking order, I think it's one of those situations where I don't know if they really fit together in the starting lineup. Like when we actually look at it, they're gonna break people down and all that, but the defensive side, I don't know what type of lineups they're gonna put on the floor. They're gonna get the type of stops that Jason Kidd's gonna be happy with, man. And that, in my mind, is the thing. You know, Reggie Bullock and you know, I can't seem to remember Tim Hardaway's name for whatever reason every time I'm ready to say it. But Tim Hardaway, Reggie Bullock, and some of those other players, I think they may find out that those combination of players may actually give them more stops than the more talented Kyrie Irving and some of the lineups that they're going to have surrounding him and Luka Doncic on the floor at the same time. It's weird, man. It's almost like the situation the Lakers have going on where, we play Wenyen Gabriel sparingly because we want to play Hachimura, Bron, and AD. But you need Wenyen on the floor to help those players do the things that they don't do. But you can't necessarily have all four of them on the floor at the same time. So it's like, I think you might find situations like that with the rotation that Dallas has. Now that I've had a chance to glance at their roster, it's like if you place Kyrie Irving in the starting lineup and Luka Doncic in the starting lineup, definitely going to score a lot. But you're probably going to get better stops if you just rotate those players a bit differently and allow Kyrie to come off the bench with the second unit, because their bench is trash. That's the problem. Their bench is garbage. So if they can get him to come off the bench and average 30 off the bench, that'll take care of their bench unit. And in their starting situation could be taken care of by Luka Doncic. If they find a way to have a good combination of both those two different sets, and then find a way to have them play together very well, I think they can win games in the playoffs. I think they can scheme teams, especially if Christian Wood can stay healthy and play at the level he's used to playing at. And then have a healthy Tim Hardaway Jr. who wasn't in the playoffs last year. So I'm intrigued by Dallas the more I think about it. On the offensive end, like I said, they can score 150 points. But defensively, if they don't rotate properly, with their rotations, if they don't have their rotations set to where they can find ways to get stops at pockets at a time, it's almost like you're only going to be playing with half of your team at the end of games because only one person is going to get the ball. You know what I mean? That's another thing. It's like the best way to utilize Kyrie Irving is to possibly have him just handle the ball and score the last shot. You put the ball in his hands and you let everybody get out the way and he's going to finish the game for you. Same thing with Luka. Same exact thing with Luka. So while you love that, you can only have one of them at a time. It's only one of them. It's only one ball. So you would much rather Luka's running mate be somebody that plays off the ball much better than you would want Kyrie Irving to be forced to play. Because Kyrie can play off the ball, of course. He's a good catch-and-shoot guy, but that's not his best strength. That's not where you play him the big bucks. You play him the big bucks to be ISO guy. So this is just an awful short-term fit. Unless people morph into something else like James Harden's able to, you know what I mean? So we'll see, man. Both of these guys are basketball gods, man. That's the crazy thing. I look forward to just seeing them do what they do. It's too bad the NBA doesn't allow for teams to build properly so that we can see this core with a real good championship level team. Because if you could just take these two players and transport them back to the old Dallas team that we've been talking about a lot lately, oh my God, like a super team of catastrophic proportions. When you talk about some of those little guys like J.J. Barea and Nick Van Exel and all of those guys that they had, Jason Terry, and you add Kyrie Irving, imagine what I'm talking about, and Luka Doncic to that era. Obviously, you would have to remove Dirk to make it make any kind of sense, but that's the point. It's like just having this core have that type of group. You just can't afford to put it around them. You can't put this type of group together with these type of contracts today. So unless you do it like Golden State and draft all of them with dirt rights and all this other stuff, man, it's impossible. So instead, you got to see them run around with players that ain't gonna live up to it, and as a result, you just don't see the fullness of what it is that core could actually do. But hopefully, as we enter a new CBA, that can no longer, we can see some changes in that way. But that's where my head is, man. I don't know what type of video this ended up being. I thought I was going to make a Laker video. I don't know what it's going to be. But at the end of the day, I wanted to get up here and let you guys know what the latest was on Kyrie Irving. As I've understood it to be, Joe Tsai, his situation, he just didn't, he values things that don't have anything to do with winning, man. At the end of the day, I feel confused about how to view the fact that it's being released to us that this was a priority. Because when I look at that, I say to myself, if that's a priority, then that signals to me that you don't want to win. That's not a good thing you want to tell all the fans. It's almost the same thing as I said about us showing Russell Westbrook say that fun thing. Fun, like that was not something the organization should have necessarily wanted us to see. because that just showed us how bad things were inside of the organization. This is kind of one of those. It's like, why would Josiah want everyone to know that he wanted Kyrie Irving to go everywhere but the Lakers? That means that you turned down a package that was properly put together to give you proper value, and instead you passed on that so that you could do what it is that you intended to do in that case. Something other than helping your team win. Something other than what it is that your fans are paying for, Joe. That doesn't paint you in a positive light, and yet you're telling all of us this as if you don't realize it doesn't paint you in a positive light. Are we all aware of that? Or am I a weird person for thinking that this is not a good thing to want people to think of myself? That I had a personal vendetta, and then now I feel triumphant in the fact that I was able to succeed in that triumphant vendetta. But the problem was, in doing so, I would have had to betray the very thing that I'm responsible for. But it's like, okay, I'm an owner. Yeah, you're an owner in a conglomerate of an association of other owners. Like, is that not part of the deal too? You're in a team. You're on a team. The conglomerate is 30 teams that make up an association. The association is a team. Did the NBA understand that? Like, you all are in it together. So when guys do stuff like this, you make the overall product worse. That's why you don't do stuff like this. And it's definitely why you don't want people to know that you're doing stuff like this on purpose. That's what I'm saying. Like, this guy's an NBA owner, but he values other things. He has a way of doing things from another place. And to me, he's exposing that to us. And my thing is that on purpose? Just like I asked about the Lakers losing. Are we putting small ball on the floor to lose on purpose so that we can be seen a certain way? I always ask, are you doing that so that you can look a certain way, so that we can think a certain way about people who do business? Like, how far did this go, Joe? Because, if I'm not that smart of a person, I'm going to look at you and I'm going to say, dang, all the Chinese guys are going to do that to me, so I don't want to get in business with all the Chinese guys. Is that what you're trying to make us say, Joe? Because that's not cool, man. That's not cool. I'm not supposed to ask that. So I can't work for ESPN and all this, because I'm going to think this and I'm going to ask that. I'm going to. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what exactly I'm looking at in this world most of the time. A lot of stuff I think I see is meant for that very reason. Is to prop up an example of what a person is supposed to look like. And me, common person who pays my money, is supposed to be like, okay, I see. That's what they are. All right. And just be stupid about it and walk away with this matter-of-fact understanding that's provided me by way of that example. And I see it as copied and pasted everywhere in my life, everywhere on my phone, and I'm just like, here we go again. So now what? Am I just supposed to look at Josiah and say, okay, well, I guess all those guys are no good, so no business with them? That's not what I want to say. That's not what's good. That's not what I want kids to do in regards to their own examples or how they view themselves. You know what I mean? I don't like that when I see it in the images of the people of color, and I get frustrated because I think they're propped up just in certain cases just to make us think matter-of-factly about people that look like me and all these different things, man. All these different things. And I look at a guy like Kyrie Irving and he's sitting there in the midst of that. I look at a guy like Kevin Durant and they're sitting there in the mix of that with real personalities. Like, if that's the agenda in a place like that for a guy like Joe, and then these are athletes caught in the middle of it. And as they act insubordinate, I'm like, well, if they're acting insubordinate in a place where people are trying to, if this is what matters in a place like that, and they're behaving that way in a place like that, then it stands to reason why they're being treated this way in a place like that after behaving that way in that place. See, I'm wording everything like this so that it'll be understood that I'm very, very exact in what I'm thinking. Very exact. I just think there's a lot to look at, man. It's a lot to look at. It isn't good. And so that's why I think Josiah, he should probably not be an owner in the NBA anymore. I really believe that, man. It's just overall bad for the fans of Brooklyn to have all of this going on, and it's not about winning. They just not going to win because the owner sees a win in something else. Just like Russell Westbrook sees victories and getting stats and stuff, we complain about it all the time. He'd be mad when we win because he didn't get his stats or didn't get his minutes. This is Joe Tsai. He's more so concerned about winning the battle, the mind game between him and Kyrie Irving. That's the championship for him. He got a trophy for what he did today. I think they gave him a Larry O somewhere for what for being able to trade Kyrie to the Dallas Mavericks instead of the Lakers, because that's what it's all about. It ain't about no winning. It ain't about no championship. No, it's about these personal vendettas and this buck breaking and this example I'm trying to do, because I'm however that, whatever that is. It don't look too good, whatever it is. And it's all foul, man. It's absolutely foul. It ain't driven by winning. It's not driven by winning. And so as I continue to see this propped up fake NBA, wannabe NBA, they don't even begin to be what they used to be in regards to what it is I grew up watching. It's not that, because this is just numbers and manipulation and people pretending to be involved and really focus on other stuff, and they just running around pretending like they're serious. And then when the injuries happen, it all hits the fan. I don't know, man. And my head goes in different places. If I'm a guy like Isaiah Thomas, I'm like, I didn't get my money for what reason? Why didn't I get my 200? When y'all doing all this? Why wasn't I getting my contract? I'm not supposed to be thinking any of that. I'm certain I'm not supposed to be thinking any of that. But whatever, man. This is why I make my channel, because I want to speak freely, bro. And some stuff just looks foul. And to be honest with you, I do hold back. I really do. I promise you this. I go probably 70% more than I even go on this channel in my head. But it's like some stuff is just like, for what reason? Some stuff is just not even worth saying. When you consider it, all the nonsense that this brain of mine sees and the various stuff I'm looking at, as I've told you. So in this NBA thing, man, I'm happy to be a voice to it. Hopefully we can see some changes as I continue to speak out, man. And I see a lot of people speaking the same way I do. It's not just haha and giggles. We love our sport, but we also understand what all is entailed in this. And when we talk about generational wealth and who gets what, it's not even funny anymore. It's not funny to me. You know what I mean? When I see certain things that affect winning, that affect numbers, that affect money, that affect whom, I know who it affects, and I don't like it. And so I don't toy about it. You know? So for those who hear me speak of guys as if they're not human, see how human I see them? Very. And that's the point. It's all chess games, but if it ain't done correctly, it's people toying with people's lives. So that's what it is. At any rate, man, my name is BDF44. Thank you guys for allowing me to ramble, and I'm out.